What is going on, everybody? My name is Skeptics, and welcome back to a Black Ops Cold War Zombies DLC 4 video. And in today's video, I want to discuss the implications for a Season 5 Reloaded Outbreak Easter egg, as well as what could possibly happen in the finale for the Cold War Zombie season. There is a lot to talk about, so make sure that your internet bill is all paid up, that your 5G is turned on, because you are not going to want to miss this banger of an episode. All right, let's jump right into it. There are a few theories floating around the community suggesting what our Season 5 Reloaded content is going to be. One of them being that we may see our third Outbreak quest in Season 5 Reloaded or at the beginning of Season 6, as well as a final DLC round-based map at Season 6 Reloaded. The other theory is that we could just be seeing a final DLC round-based map at the launch of Season 6, which will likely be around the beginning of October, followed by the reveal of Vanguard Zombies around Halloween time and the first Vanguard Zombies map on November the 5th. Now that sounds like a ton of Zombies content, which I am 100% on board for, but I think we need to be a bit more realistic about what we are going to be receiving as a community. And it is my opinion that the intel inside of the Zombies mode is the best roadmap of all, as Treyarch themselves have even stated it would be implicating where our storyline is headed. Over the last couple of seasons, a lot has happened inside of the zombie storyline, most of which has taken place during our two Outbreak quests, Operation Inversion or Operation Inversia, Operation Excision, and then the events of Mauer der Toten. For those of you who may not be 100% familiar, let's go through a brief recap. Operation Inversia had our characters stopping a giant warhead by sending it into the Pacific Ocean, as well as fighting a giant tempest. Our characters screwed up Omega's plans, who were attempting to use that warhead to try and stop all of this madness with the Dark Ether, but we prevented that, as now we know that the Requiem director has other plans than we originally thought. Operation Excision was actually a trap set up by Omega to capture Requiem's foot soldiers and have them perform the events of Mauer der Toten, which was to stop Valentina, who had been transformed physically as well as had been mentally brainwashed by the Forsaken, who is the ultimate power we have been told resides in the Dark Ether and wants to take over our world. Confused yet? No? Alright, good, let's keep going. Now that the events of Mauer der Toten have taken place, we can now look at Season 5 intel to either tell us what is happening now or what may be happening in the future of our storyline. There have been lots of videos discussing the location of Samantha, and I will talk about that in a bit, but first I want to talk about another piece of intel I was reading that I haven't seen a lot of coverage on. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but either way, let's discuss it. In the Omega Season 5 document Enemy Engagement Report, in case you want to look this up for yourself, it talks about the reluctance of Gorev regarding the next operation, which at this point the name is Operation Redacted. Gorev is saying that after we stopped Valentina at Mauer der Toten, there has been an increase of Dark Ether activity in the Ural Mountains by 50%. The horde of zombies has doubled in size, and they have lost nearly 40 men, one per day, due to this action. Gorev then states the following, and I quote, "When we stopped the Forsaken from entering our reality, we may have gotten its attention in ways we did not anticipate. Perhaps this creature expected us to give in and let him take our reality without a fight. Now that we have reacted aggressively, it is reconsidering its tactics. With the ongoing development of Operation Redacted, which is what they are currently referring to, our forces are stretched thin. I would suggest we reconsider our Ural Mountains operation and assess if they are necessary at this time. The increased hostilities show little sign of dissipation. Without additional reinforcements, we will lose control of this region, not to Requiem, but to the Dark Ether itself." Now, this is very interesting because this alludes to Omega having or had other plans for a third operation inside of the Ural Mountains, but now they are hesitant about going forward with it because the Forsaken is angry with them for what we did by sending Klaus into the Dark Ether with a nuclear warhead. What is also interesting about this quote is that it's not too far off from an audio log that we heard all the way back in Season 3 from Carver, and I'm going to play that for you right now.
While a whole lot's been going right for us in the OZ, Field Ops is reporting an increase in Dark Ether assaults on our strike teams and security patrols. It's almost as if the infected are changing up their tactics. They're starting to ambush our people with heavily armed undead hordes. Well, maybe horde isn't quite the right word. That implies a lack of organization, but the reports I'm seeing refer to specific combinations of enemies. Foot soldiers supporting elites, working together in a coordinated fashion. This all started happening after we took down a few of their high-value targets. I can't help but think they've realized that we're going after their top brass, and now they're out for payback. I don't know. Maybe I'm just overestimating their brain power. I mean, even ants will pull together to defend their queen. But what if I'm right? What if these hordes really are organized death squads? Our little war with the Dark Ether may have just entered a whole new phase.
You can see that even Requiem has been experiencing hostility from the Dark Ether by trying to take out the HVTs inside of Outbreak, and that they have noticed that the hordes are becoming more coordinated and are changing their tactics. Since we know that this has happened before, we can assume that the Dark Ether is aware of our attacks on it and will in fact adjust accordingly to make sure our plans are thwarted. Now, what does this mean for a third potential Outbreak quest? I think that it means we are likely not going to get one and will only be receiving a final DLC round-based map. The intel clearly states that Omega wants to hold their position until further notice, which could be a cliffhanger for the Omega part of the storyline. Actually, there is even more information straight from the horse's mouth, where Treyarch discusses what we are likely to receive inside of this game. Treyarch phrased things in a recent blog post from the launch of Season 5, where they state, and I quote, "As we continue development on our next round-based zombies map in Black Ops Cold War, we get ready for new content to enjoy in every pillar of the zombies experience in Season 5. That starts with a new upgradable perk, field upgrade, support weapon, all coming to round-based maps and Outbreak." Treyarch continues by saying, "You won't want to miss a single intel drop this season, as it all builds up to the events at the start of our next round-based map." Now, I am of the opinion that this statement directly from Treyarch lines up precisely with the intel we are receiving, indicating that we will only be getting a DLC for round-based map. And even if we are going to have another Outbreak quest, there is really no implication of what it would be, as none of the intel talks about needing to go and defend the Ural Mountains. In fact, the only intel about the Ural Mountains is really from Omega, and they are talking about canceling or not executing their plans in general. And since we are not captured by Omega anymore, and Samantha Maxis has been imprisoned by Requiem, we have no reason to want to go to the Ural Mountains at this time. I mean, I suppose we could always have a quest, as the last two quests in Outbreak were both redacted in the intel and later exposed to be our main quest line, but it doesn't really feel like that's the route Treyarch is taking at this time. But honestly, who knows? Treyarch has pulled bigger plot twists than this before. Well then, what exactly is going to happen with DLC 4 and the storyline? That's a good question, and it's pretty unclear actually. And as a ton of people have been alluding to, for the first time in many years, we don't know where our final destination is, which I personally find rather exciting. But I think there are some pretty clear indicators as to where things are going to land. Right now, we know that Samantha Maxis is located in Block 8, which is a secretive Requiem facility, and she is directly interacting with the Requiem director, who we are 99% sure is Eddie Richtofen. While there is an audio log that is pretty interesting, I don't have access to it in my game because I just haven't unlocked it yet, but it basically entails a conversation between the director and Maxis that teases the future and will all be revealed in time. However, there are two more pieces of intel that are documents which also discuss Maxis's schedule inside of Block 8 facility and how she has tried to escape, as well as explaining how they don't trust her because she tried to use a fork, so she's not allowed to have silverware anymore. But the most interesting piece of this info resides with bullet point 9, which says, "Finally, subject must be treated with caution at all times. They are elementally unstable, in possession of undetermined psychic abilities that could be triggered at any moment. They are not in control, not yet." And I mean no disrespect to the writers at Treyarch, because I think the story is pretty good overall, but this is very similar to 11's storyline inside of Stranger Things, which I had said all the way back before this game launched that there was a lot of parallels with that. And with the information we have right now, there are only really a few different avenues that we can even take. The leaks all the way back at Cold War's launch discussed how DLC 4 was called The Giant, and lots of people in the community, myself included, had theorized maybe we're going back to Derice. And while I don't think that makes sense, or that we're going back to Derice, what if this is where the Block 8 facility is? What if this is that secret facility? Perhaps Eddie understands the importance of Derice and is trapping Samantha there until she can control her abilities and then harness them for Dark Ether control. But realistically, I don't think that's the case. I think it makes more sense that the base is a CIA facility separate from Derice, somewhere else that we just haven't learned about yet. And going back to Derice would have made more sense if we had seen Varuk, Shino Numa, and Kino der Toten inside of the other maps along this journey, but we've really only seen Noct so far inside of Die Maschine. I suppose it could be like a sandwich storyline with iconic set pieces at the prologue and epilogue of the story, but just doesn't seem like that's what's gonna happen. What I was hoping would happen is that we would have an Outbreak quest that would lead us to where Maxis is located, and then DLC 4 would be the actual rescuing and Forsaken battle. But since I don't think we are going to have an Outbreak quest at this time, this means that unless we find the location of Block 8 some other way, then we're probably either going to have our final map be an intel gathering mission to determine Sam's location, or it will be a rescue mission to pull Sam out of Block 8, or perhaps it's both. I do believe it is the latter. I think that if this story arc is the case, then we will breach a CIA Requiem facility, find Maxis inside of her cell, and our job will be either to stop the Forsaken or Eddie in a huge epic boss fight, or perhaps they are both connected. And while that might be a little far-fetched, I do want to display this Season 4 Dark Ether radio talking about the Forsaken and how it kind of manipulates and uses and messes with people's minds and bodies.
The Forsaken is not simply powerful. He is a master of deceit. I have seen him do this before. Alter his appearance, play upon emotions, all to make others do his bidding. I have seen others here become drawn to him, follow him, worship him. And now the Forsaken commands a vast army, hungrily eyeing our world.
I also think this map will have a lot of Dark Aether themes because the intel suggests that there is so much Dark Aether activity that the terraformation is out of control, meaning that our worlds are fusing together faster and faster. It would also make sense since Samantha is being harnessed for her elemental abilities, and perhaps we arrive at the facility to find it submerged in the Dark Aether and we will have to suit up like in Stranger Things or like the Weaver Store bundle. It just makes sense in my mind that we will see a large conclusion to this Dark Aether story spin-off, because otherwise we won't know what happens in the future for nearly 2 more years, as the Vanguard zombie storyline is supposed to take place prior to the events of D Machina and Project Endstation. So what about the leaks around Zombies Chronicles 2 and Spusk Stali? Well, I think it's safe to say for the most part the community doesn't believe in the Spusk Stali's theory. This name was supposedly the final name for DLC 4, which translates to the Descent of Steel. And this map sounded really cool actually. It was apparently taking place in snowy mountains at a military base where there would be these portals that would shoot you all around into these icy caverns and whatnot. Now, the reason I think this leak had even been considered by the community at all was that he got the names of Firebase Z and Mauer Toten correct, as well as their locations, I believe. So people just kind of took it seriously temporarily. However, the leak completely missed the reveal of Outbreak, as well as stated that the Zombies Chronicles 2 maps were going to be linked to the Battle Pass in terms of purchasing all of the maps. Honestly, I don't know what's real or not anymore when it comes to stuff like this. For all I know, this leak could have been real at one point in time, and that it was old even in the terms of when it was released all the way back in February of 2021. Also, during development, things obviously changed for Treyarch, as the Ural Mountains Warzone map was completely scrapped by Activision and had been turned into Outbreak regions for us to play. So maybe when this person heard the zombie season information back in 2020, they didn't leak it until it was too late and all these huge changes were already underway. Because let's be real, the Zombies Chronicles 2 maps are almost certainly done and are just sitting on ice waiting to be released to the public. I could totally see Activision doing something awful like tying them to the more expensive Battle Pass tier, and they would unlock, in those first bonus tiers, like where all the skins and the weapons are. And if you are interested in the discussion regarding Zombies Chronicles 2, I just made a video talking about it a few days ago and how I think it is possible it will release on the Vanguard engine inside of 2022. Card is on your screen right now. It's a little shameless plug, no big deal. Anyways, maybe this leaker just got lucky. The Firebase Z title had been leaked way before launch, and maybe he just got lucky with the name of Mauer Toten, as a ton of people already knew we were going to Berlin. But again, who knows? And we're just gonna have to wait and see. In summary, I think it makes the most sense that we will be receiving the following content timeline: the Season 5 Reloaded update with some, but not a lot, of Zombies content, maybe a new score streak or weapon or something. Then we will receive the DLC 4 map at the launch of Season 6, which is at the beginning of October, followed by the reveal of the next map for Vanguard Zombies in late October during Halloween, which will then release on November the 5th with the Vanguard game in its entirety. And to be honest, guys, getting 2 maps this close in succession is great news. And while I 100% would love a third Outbreak quest in some epic boss battle, the intel just does not seem to be lining up with that theory. It would also be better best for Treyarch to focus all of their resources on the final Cold War round-based map and prepare for the launch map inside of Vanguard Zombies. We don't want them spreading their resources too thin, or else we're just going to end up with a bunch of empty maps with no side quests or anything fun or worth our time. The most important thing we can do as a community, I think, is to trust that Treyarch knows what they are doing. I know this year has been insanely weird regarding zombies and gaming in general, and emotions have definitely been high, but I think Treyarch has, or is at least getting their groove back in regards of the zombies mode, and that we will be on the right track. There are a few things we need to accept, like the battle pass system, the $3,000 per weapon bundle and all that stuff, you know, all these changes that have removed a reward system. I know those suck a lot, at least from my perspective, but hopefully, you know, things will get a little better. All I know is that for the first time since World at War, we have no idea what is in store for the zombies game mode, and I think that's pretty cool, even if it terrifies me and it could all go downhill. Will the final map be at Spusk Stali, or will the final map be some Dark Ether epic battle with the Forsaken at Block 8? Are we even going to get Zombies Chronicles 2 ever? Will it be in Cold War Zombies, or will it be in Vanguard Zombies? These are the burning questions I have, and only you can answer them in the comment section below. That's going to do it for this video, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, rate, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in another video. Peace.